Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about mono blue spirits in Pioneer and how to sideboard against the top 10 most popular decks in Pioneer. Hopefully you'll be able to take the lessons that we take from these top 10 most popular decks and be able to apply them to more rogue strategies with this kind of premier tempo deck of Pioneer. Let's jump into it. So the most popular deck in Pioneer is Rakdos Midrange. Against Rakdos Midrange, we have to understand that they're just trying to remove our creatures and then attack us themselves. And so I'm a big fan of slip out the back as additional protection against that removal. The games can often go really, really long, so I'm a fan of Cemetery Illuminator, possibly getting me that card advantage in the late game. And Witness Protection is extremely strong against cards like Shieldred, which between their life gain and our life loss on the back of Shieldred can be really bad for us and just kind of close the game out a little too quickly for our liking. I'm also a fan of Fading Hope against this deck. Just being able to return a Shieldred on their end step is really powerful, or returning a Goblin token or things like that can just make us win the race a little bit easier, and getting the Scry one is pretty powerful. Cards I'm not a fan of against Red-Black is, first off, Ascendant Spirit. The issue with Ascendant Spirit is that it's one of the only cards in our deck that refuses to get value on its face and requires mana to be put into it, and which allows them to just kind of ignore Ascendant Spirit until they can't anymore, and they have so many answers to it that it's very unlikely we're going to actually get value out of it. So I like taking out Ascendant Spirit. I like taking out 2 Shacklegeist. Similar to Ascendant Spirit, it's really difficult to make Shacklegeist actually do anything, and often they're kind of controlling the amount of spirits that we have access to, and normally we want to be attacking with those spirits anyway. So this is how I sideboard against Red-Black Midrange. The second most popular deck in Pioneer is Absa Greninja. Against Absa Greninja, we just need to play the tempo deck. Make sure they don't combo us and just try to win as fast as possible. That being said, I like Fading Hope a lot. They play Greasefang before they enter combat, return them for 1 mana. Super easy to leave that mana up. Brazen Borrower for the same reason, right? 2 mana. We just get to kind of stop what is happening. Unlicensed Earth's obviously insane against Greasefang, so we're siding that in for that graveyard hate so they can't combo us as well. And the rest of the deck is actually really, really solid. I like taking out Geistlight Snare, though. So the reason I don't like Geistlight Snare is because it requires some work in order to actually interrupt things. And they can easily play around it by end-stepping stuff, and it can kind of bait it out. And that's a lot of mana to leave up every single turn for something they're just trying to bait. Between the cards we're bringing in, the Brazen Bar we already have, Shacklegeist, I think we definitely have enough. However, we can keep some amount in and take out Slip Out the Backs. So this is how I think I'm going to sideboard. Slip Out the Backs because they don't have a ton of removal. I'm not super worried about it. And so we're going to play a sideboard like this. The third most popular deck in Pioneer is Blue-White Control. Against Blue-White Control, there's some cards that are pretty obvious that we need to bring in. Slip Out the Back is great, even against board wipes, protects against their removal spells, etc., etc. Mystical Dispute is great because it counters most things in our opponent's deck. Disdainful Stroke is pretty good against our opponent because we can kind of stop those big mana spells from resolving. We're going to take out the Shacklegeist. Shacklegeist is just awful, doesn't actually do anything. It's a 2-mana 2/2. That is straight up not good enough. We're going to be taking out the Brazen Borrower because it didn't really do anything. And then we're going to shave 1 Curious Obsession. It's just really easy for them to answer. And sometimes we don't have creatures, and that's bad. And so this is how we're going to sideboard against Blue-White Control. The fourth most popular deck in Pioneer is Mono Green Devotion Nykthos. So obviously we're bringing in our Aethergus. Witness Protection is obviously good as well, being able to get the creatures out of the way. Disdainful Stroke, obviously insane, right? Being able to counter the big dumb guys. And we're just playing the tempo deck here. I mean, this deck is really built to beat Mono Green Devotion. Shacklegeist is ridiculous against this deck. One thing we don't want is to return them to their hand, because a lot of the stuff that we can return to their hand does more things when it enters the battlefield. So we're going to be taking out Brazen Borrower. We're going to be taking out Ascendant Spirit. We don't really have time to be able to get this to do things, and it requires quite a bit of mana to be able to fly. And I really don't like Slip Out the Back in the matchup at all, which leaves 1 more card we want to bring in just to remove cards that are bad. And I actually like bringing in a single Mystical Dispute against this deck. It's really important we counter really important spells, and sometimes, frankly, leaving 3 mana up against them is worth it. So this is how I sideboard against Mono Green Devotion. So the 5th most popular deck is Hidden Strings, or Lotus Combo, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be bringing in Mystical Disputes, because a lot of cards that we're afraid of are blue spells. And we're going to bring in Disdainful Strokes, because a lot of cards that we're... I lost it. A lot of cards that we're afraid of are 4 mana or greater. I also like Unlicensed Hearse, because if we play it on turn 2, it turns off that... I forgot what it's called. The 5 mana creature that gives things in the graveyard flashback. And this matchup is all about just killing them as fast as possible. That being said, we take out Slip Out the Back, because they don't run a lot of removal to speak of. We're taking out Brazen Borrower. There's nothing really to return that we really care about. And then we're going to shave on Shacklegeist because it is a 2-mana 2/2, which is not good. So that's how I sideboard against Lotus combo. The 6th most popular deck in Pioneer is Atraxa Neoform. The Atraxa Neoform deck, I really enjoy Fading Hope against. Being able to have them play a Delve creature and then we just return it to their hand is really, really strong. Aether Gust is very good against Neoform itself and like Hooting Mandrills. Mystical Dispute is pretty powerful against the deck as well because a lot of their cards are blue, specifically Neoform itself. And Brazen Borrower for the same reason as Fading Hope. I'm also a fan of Disdainful Stroke. It's a lot of cards that I actually like against this deck because they can actually counter step 1 in that Neoform combo and just like countering a Delve creature. That being said, some cards that are like truly bad slip out the back. Not very good at all. I'm not a huge fan of Spectral Sailor against this deck because we want to kill them really, really fast. And the games often don't go super long, so we're never going to be able to like activate him. Similarly, I kind of want to shave on Counter Magic because we're bringing in a lot of interaction and we don't want to shave too much on the creatures. So I actually like just cutting some Lofting Denial and then shaving on Geistlight Snare and treating the cards we're bringing in as just upgrades. So this I sideboard against Neoform Atraxa. The 7th most popular deck in Pioneer is Mono White Humans. Against Mono White Humans, I like bringing in Witness Protection, be able to make their things like Adalines and stuff like that do nothing. I'm a fan of Fading Hope to be able to kind of reduce their aggro and maybe win the race as fast as possible. And I'm actually a fan of Slip Out the Back, just as protection against their portable holes and things like that. That being said, I am not a big fan of Spell Pierce. And then I think we just have to take out a lot of the counter magic and just like be hyper aggressive. And so we're going to leave in 1 Geistlight Snare and also bring in a Brazen Borrower again to reduce this aggro. So that's how I like sideboarding against Mono White Humans. The 8th most popular deck is Temur Creativity, so this combo creativity deck. Against Temur Creativity, Disdainful Stroke is obviously great, being able to stop the combo and also like counter things like Big Score and stuff like that. Aether Gust is very good for obviously stopping the combo and also can counter some other important things. And I like Brazen Borrower because it can actually kind of interrupt the combo if they're comboing with like minimum resources. Slip Out the Back is also very powerful because they run a ridiculous amount of removal. What's kind of cool in the interaction against this deck is like if we just leave Shacklegeist up, their combo doesn't work. So we like to keep Shacklegeist in. But similar to other matchups, the game does not go long in most situations, so I don't like Spectral Sailor much at all. And because the game doesn't go long, we often don't have enough mana to dump into Ascendant Spirit, so we're going to shave on that. So this is how we're going to sideboard against Temur Creativity. The 9th most popular deck in Pioneer is Omnath to Light, also known as 5-color midrange sometimes. We're going to side in Aether Gust to kind of stop the Bring to Light shenanigans. I'm a fan of Mystical Dispute. A lot of their most powerful cards are blue. And also a lot of the most powerful cards cost 4 or greater. So we're bringing in this for counter magic as well. They don't have a ton of actual spot removal. So I don't like Slip Out the Back. I don't want to return anything to their owner's hand because everything does stuff when it enters the battlefield. So we're also taking out Brazen Borrower. And there's nothing we really need to tap down in the deck, so I am also not a fan of Shacklegeist. So this is how we are going to sideboard against Bring to Light. The 10th most popular deck in Pioneer, the final deck we're going to talk about is It Phoenix? Against It Phoenix, we're going to take in Slip Out the Back. Slip Out the Back's obviously great in the face of just a million removal spells. I'm actually a fan of Fading Hope, especially like against Thing and Ice or Phoenix. Just very powerful. Mystical Dispute is pretty good, being able to stop the pieces of the puzzle or like Treasure Cruise, super powerful. That is pretty much it. I actually don't like Brazen Borrower while we're bringing in Fading Hope to do the shenanigans. Not a fan of Brazen Borrower doing the shenanigans. So we're going to, 2 mana is a lot different than 1 mana. So we're going to be taking that out. Curious Obsession, frankly, gets a lot worse in the face of a ton of removal. So we're going to take out Curious Obsession and then shave in a Lofty Denial because we're upgrading on a lot of counter magic. So this is how I sideboard against Phoenix. So there you have it. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description, especially on Twitch. I stream there most nights. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.